Welcome to the Remedial Education Innovation Panel. I'm glad that all of you were able to attend. I know it's 3:40 in the afternoon on a Wednesday, so everybody is probably getting an early start at the non-cash bar that Gail Spack mentioned. But we're going to go ahead and get started, and of course, we're going to be so lively and engaged, they're going to hear us in the halls, and they're going to pour in. My name is Jeff Harmon. I'm Executive Director of E-Learning at Ocean County College, and I'm going to be the moderator for this panel. And what I'd like to do now is allow the other panelists to introduce themselves. Dr. Kerrigan?
Good afternoon. My name is Monica Kerrigan, and I am faculty at Rowan University.
My name is Veronica Guevara-Lovegren. I'm the Writing Center Coordinator at Ocean County College.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Henry Jackson. I'm the Director of Academic Success at Ocean County College.
So remedial education is currently experiencing a major paradigm shift. More emphasis is being placed on student success rates, individualized learning pathways, and adaptive learning solutions to enhance student achievement and accelerate college readiness. Our panel today is going to present some slides for you on this topic. We've got some questions that we're going to be asking them and grilling them with, and I would definitely encourage every one of you to ask at least 3 questions each. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Henry Jackson and Dr. Monica Kerrigan for their portion of the presentation.
So in fall 2013, approximately 1.7 million students enrolled in colleges and universities across the nation. 50% of those students entering community colleges needed developmental education remediation. 20% of those students entering four-year schools needed developmental remediation. And 30% of them did not bother, who placed into developmental courses did not bother to enter the college. And 1 in 4 who did enter the developmental level completed their, 1 in 4 who did enter the developmental level completed their degree requirements. So what we're going to talk about today in my portion and Dr. Kerrigan are some approaches that we're using at Ocean County College to address the students' remedial needs. The first program we're going to talk about will be the College Readiness Now program. It's a high school program to get high school students ready for college. The next program I will speak about is a placement test prep program that Ocean County College is starting this spring for students who take the placement test and they take the placement test and they get a score that places them into remedial education, but we're trying to give them some backup opportunities in case they want to take the second challenge test, and then some supplemental instruction and fusion at lowest level developmental English courses, and then a accelerated learning program that we're also doing at Ocean County College. The College Readiness Now program that we started at Ocean County College was a result of a grant that we received from the state of New Jersey and Park. And the purpose of the program was to help 11th and 12th grade students achieve college and career readiness skills. All 19 community colleges in the state of New Jersey received a portion of this grant. And the program at OCC, we did several portions. We did a spring portion and then we conducted a summer portion. The spring portion of the pilot program was held at the students' high school. We collaborated with 3 high schools in the Toms River area, Toms River North, Toms River South, Toms River East, and we did an on-site literacy program using Pearson's My Foundations lab as a supplemental instruction tool while the students were at the school. The on-site program went from April to late June, and during that program, we had students use the My Foundations lab. We gave them a diagnostic assessment associated with My Foundations lab. That assessment assess their strengths and weaknesses in reading and writing and mathematics. And once that assessment was completed, it provided us with individual learning plans for each student. And what happened after we got the individual learning plans, we arranged for all the students that are involved in the 3 schools in the program to do 50-minute after-school on-site remedial program. So they came to the computer lab, they used the My Foundations lab for 50 minutes each Monday and Tuesday, or Monday and Wednesday, depending on the school. They used the My Foundations lab to improve their skills in math and reading. At the end, just go back real quick, I'm sorry. At the end of the program in June, we tested them using AccuPlacer, and then if the students test at a college level, we selected 28 of them to attend a math or academic success course at Ocean County College. The next program I'll speak about is our placement test prep program. The Developmental Ed Committee at OCC was charged with developing and implementing an AccuPlacer brush-up pilot to help students improve their English and mathematics proficiency, improve their placement scores on their challenge tests, and provide them with a tool to supplement coursework through the fall 2013. Our goal in that program was to reduce the amount of remediation required by providing the students access to skills development programs that assist with improving English and mathematics proficiency levels, and also improve their English and mathematics skills prior to taking the college challenge test. So each student who comes to OCC and takes the AccuPlacer, if they don't like the score that they get, they can challenge that score. So prior to them challenging the score, we wanted to put them into the placement test prep program to allow them to brush up on their skills. So when they go back to take the challenge test, hopefully they would improve their challenge test scores, and it will place them into college level English or mathematics. We conducted the program over the course of the spring semester. We had 2 products that we used during that time. We used the McGraw-Hill Alex Math product, or their Connect for English, and we also used Pearson's Accu My Foundations Lab. The 2 cohorts were broken up into 2 parts. One was McGraw-Hill's and one was Pearson. The students who were in the McGraw-Hill, the 54 students in McGraw-Hill, the Connect and the English portion, 77% of the students who were involved in this program passed their remedial math or English course. So even though if they challenged the test and they didn't get the score that they thought they were going to get, when they went back to the actual remedial math or English class they tested in, 77% of the students in the McGraw-Hill pool passed their remedial class with a C or better. For the Pearson side, 82% of the students passed with a C or better after using the Pearson My Foundations Lab. And so that led to a recommendation of designing the placement test prep program, which will be rolling out this March at OCC after the census date. Then we will start working with students who are coming into the program to try to get them into the summer programs and improve their scores to try to get into the college level English and mathematics programs in the fall. And our newest pilot project that we're working on this year is an accelerated learning program. And the purpose of this program is to help students with remedial needs accelerate the rate of academic progress toward the completion of their college-level English requirements. Also, the program seeks to reduce higher attrition rates and increasing student retention amongst developmental education students. And we will be using academic software, the My Foundations Lab that I spoke about earlier, and also Supplemental Instruction, which Veronica will speak about shortly. So the goal of the Accelerated Learning Program at OCC is to facilitate the completion of educational requirements in an accelerated manner, improve the outcomes of developmental ed students, decrease attrition rates amongst developmental ed students, and increase retention rates among developmental ed students. So what we're doing at OCC this spring semester, we're taking students who place into our English 095, our second highest level of developmental education. We're taking those students who are just in what we call the decision zone. They get the scores, but they're not quite at the college level English placement score yet. Once we get those students, we are asking them, if they want to participate in the program. If they elect to participate in an accelerated learning program, they get placed into the college level English class with 2 supports. The first support is a supplemental instruction leader who is a peer, someone who's gone through the English program, has graduated with a high grade, and has come back, has been trained by the writing coordinator, and is ready to go into the classroom to assist students. They also will have an instructor, they will have this peer mentor, and then they will have access to my Foundations Lab. They will use the diagnostic to assess their skills in reading and writing, and then from the diagnostic, a individual learning plan will be established for the students. Within that individual learning plan will be modules that the students have to complete. Upon completion of the modules, they will have to complete a post-test with an 80% or better. And the score on the post-test, they get unlimited opportunities to pass the post-test. And this is on top of the English 151 college-level English coursework that they have to do. If they are successful with passing the class, passing the My Foundations Lab, they will get their grade in the English 151 college level English course and be allowed to move on to the English 152 course. If the students are not successful, they will be placed back into the English 095, the developmental education course, and be remediated accordingly. But this program, as we say, is no room for failure. We've put in all the supports and all the supports that the students need to be successful. So we hope that at the end of the program, all 44 students will receive college level English and receive a grade of C or better. And now I will let coordinator Veronica, our Writing Center coordinator, speak about supplemental instruction. Oh,
Yes, well,
yes.
let's do a couple questions first.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you very much for that. Please.
Yes, Virendra Canwal from Middlesex County College. My first question is regarding your College Readiness Now program. Do all the high school students attend that My Foundation Lab, or is it only for select students?
According to the grant, we had to choose students who were low income, high-risk students. So those students that we chose were based on the federal lunch program at the 3 high schools, but they were 11th and 12th grade students who can participate. We had selected 100 students. Once they were selected, they were allowed to participate in the program throughout, and then at the end, we paid for them to come to OCC for the summer, so we reduced that number to 40 students, but because of the program, a lot of the students couldn't make it, so we ended up with 28 students in the end.
Left.
The rest, yes, they went on vacation or they had some type of summer job that they had an obligation to.
Okay. I have one more question. You said those who do not do well in the challenge test, you have a placement test preparation program. Is that on site or online?
The placement test prep program will be on site. The students take the initial AccuPlacer test. Once they take that test and they see their scores, They are informed at the testing center that there is a placement test prep program. Once we get 10 students in the program, we start a cohort, we give them an orientation, we do a My Foundations Lab diagnostic, we get them involved with the My Foundations Lab for 5 weeks. After the 5 weeks are up, we allow them to go back and retest to improve their challenge score. And that's all done on campus. They have to come to at least one computer session with a English or math professor. They're obligated to come to one session. And then after that one session, they will use the program. The program is a self-managed program, so self-paced. So once they get access to the My Foundations Lab, they can use it and do it anywhere they are.
And it's free to the students?
It's free to the students at this point, but we will be charging. I can't remember the amount we're talking about, but there will be a fee.
Well, what we've seen, and my answer comes from research that I've done over the past year, that was the result of an evaluation of that College Readiness Now program that Ocean County College participated in. What we've seen is particularly focused on this transition from high school to college. We're seeing 4 approaches, and actually these 4 approaches were characterized by the College Board in a publication earlier in 2014. They are independent study with guidance, a lab, and then a blended approach. And I'm sure many of you are familiar with these. The independent study, and all of these are purely online, or we use an online component. So I think that's what's relevant to our conversation today. We're seeing a lot of different colleges pick one of these 4, and then some, as we're seeing, are using multiple approaches. And I think there's a lot of opportunity as colleges and universities try to address the challenges with students who are in that developmental group, using one or more of these opportunities, of these strategies, provide students with different levels of support, which is what we're seeing students need. We can't implement a single approach, but implementing a multi-tiered approach does seem to be really a promising practice in New Jersey.
What do you think of the future? What do you think the future of developmental education will look like?
I think it'll definitely look different than the way it is right now. I think there will have to be more supports, with approximately 68% of students coming in needing developmental needs, either at one subject or multiple subjects. There definitely needs to be something that we do different, and I think that's what we're trying to do at OCC. We're really trying to work with the students to get them to, get past first that stigma of being placed in developmental education. I think that's something that kind of sets a lot of students back, and when they find out that they have to take these other courses before they can even get to the college level courses. So I think the first thing would have to happen is we kind of change the way developmental education feels when we tell a student they're in remediation. And then I think the second thing is, as I said, blending our methods, having an instructor, having multiple instructors in the classroom, or using some type of online software to supplement that instruction. The online software that we've been engaging in with our partners has really come a long ways. It's artificial intelligence. It adjusts. It does things with the students to help them improve their scores. So I think the field of online software is moving in a positive direction, and will be a positive and important tool for the future of developmental education.
Thanks, Henry. Flipping this around a little bit and considering the student perspective, Dr. Kerrigan, what do students think of online instruction replacing their traditional, more comfortable developmental education courses?
From the research I did this summer, what we see is really a mixed bag, and it is dependent on the approach that the program has taken to that online instruction. I heard from students that they really appreciated the ability to be self-paced, the ability to respond and be placed where they were, to learn what they needed to learn, and then to move forward. So that was a very positive experience. On the flip side, however, I also heard from students that they felt it was boring sometimes. They felt it was impersonal. And some students commented that there was no one there to help them when they did something wrong, and they didn't know why they were wrong. And, you know, as educators, I think that's so important, you know, that idea that, that if a student doesn't know why they were wrong, they're not going to be able to resolve that. And so this idea, you know, that Dr. Jackson has indicated of taking a blended approach, of providing support, I think is an opportunity to marry some of the best opportunities of online education, which is the responsiveness, the independent nature, and yet marry that with what we know students need, which is support and a myriad of other supports, in effect, that will help them make it through not just the academic coursework, but also all of the other things that they bring with them to those classrooms.
If I could just add something, Jeff, that was one approach that we used with our high school students. We had an academic coach there with them. So while they were using the My Foundations Lab product, there was an actual person they could turn to and say, hey, I don't get this, can you help me? And we found that that really, you know, excelled that college readiness program.
Thank you, Henry. Thank you, Dr. Kerrigan. And I would also add that in our online program at Ocean County College, we use the My Foundations Lab for all of our remediation of online students. Those are all facilitated courses with remediation instructors present, and they provide that support feature. And that's a great segue to turn it over to Veronica, who's going to talk to us a little bit about supporting developmental writing.
Hi, everyone. So when I first started at the college in August of 2013, I had a meeting with Dr. Mary Morley, and she provided me with this information. One of the best, if not the best, failure indicators for OCC students is to withdraw or fail English 091 their first semester of college. Now, as a Writing Center coordinator, that was just like, whoa. It was a little shocking, and, you know, the pressure is on, so I kind of felt like I have to figure out a way to reach out to these students. How can I help them succeed and achieve their goals? So that was kind of daunting, but then also it was an exciting challenge. So Dr. Morley, before she left the college, was kind enough to provide me with some data, and what this table here indicates is the success rates for students in 091 who have taken 091 the first fall, taken in fall of first year. And as you can see, the students who earn a grade or D or F, their success rates are abysmal. And it was kind of just like, again, just one of those things. You can't save every student, but you want to at least try. You want to make sure that you do everything that you can and you provide the support that they need. And then the next chart that we have here too was provided by Dr. Morley as well, and this was from the fall 2013 first-time cohort, and it shows how many students actually needed a form of English remediation. And the English 091, those who are required, you can see from full-time students it was 19%, and then for part-times it was 36.45%. Again, there's a need there that needs to be addressed. So as a Writing Center coordinator, here I am just trying to figure out, like, how am I going to reach out to these students? So, you know, when I looked at my own data, I realized that these students were not coming to the Writing Center, and that was a little bit daunting again, not to be redundant, but it was one of those moments where I had to figure out how am I going to reach out to these learners that clearly need additional support. So what I did next was, oh, and the slides are still there. What I did next was I reached out to the college itself. I looked at our mission statement to see what we are committed to in terms of helping our students. And one of the first items listed is that, you know, we're committed to offering comprehensive educational programs that develop intentional learners of all ages and ensure the full assessment of student learning in these programs. So you can see that I bolded the develop intentional learners because that struck me. Like, what does that mean exactly to develop intentional learners? So the next thing I did was I reached out to the president's office and I said, you know, I asked them, like, can you provide me with more information? Like, how do we define, I know what an intentional learner is, but how do we as an institution define intentional learners? So they provided me with the Greater Expectations report, which is the next slide. And in that report, what they indicated is that these students are prepared to thrive in a complex, interdependent, diverse, and constantly changing world. So again, this gave me more information that I needed so that I can start figuring out what is the best approach to helping these learners. So then I reached out to a few colleagues locally, and I kind of was trying to, get a sense of what is everyone doing, and supplemental instruction came up. And supplemental instruction is, was developed in the 70s at the University of Missouri in Kansas City, and its intent was to target historically difficult courses and provide these students with in-class support, meaning that a peer will be present in the class. The peer attends every session. The peer also, and the student who's selected to be the SI leader, that peer, is someone who's already taken the course and has demonstrated that they are a successful student and a role model. So, with the SI model, with this approach, I was like, this is something that could be very beneficial to our students and our learners on campus. Now, how do I adapt it to support 091 students? Because not many institutions are using supplemental instruction in developmental writing courses. So like I mentioned, I reached out to a friend, and at Monmouth University, she's the assistant director of SI, and we just, met and we had meetings and talked about SI and how we could, try to adapt it to support our students and learners. So then one of the things that she mentioned as the key to success regarding SI is you have to get the full support of faculty. Without faculty support, it's just not going to run. So now I have to figure out, how am I going to reach out to our faculty members to get them to support what I'm trying to do? And again, I'm still trying to learn exactly what supplemental instruction is and what it can do for our students too. So what I did is, the initial steps that I took is I kind of became a pest, One of the things I did was I, reached out to faculty via email. I visited classes. I also developed training materials and a faculty manual so that they could kind of start learning and getting a sense of what I was trying to do with supplemental instruction. And I selected 2 of my Kane at Ocean peer writing tutors because they had already graduated from OCC. Now, they didn't have to take developmental courses, so this is kind of one of the things I had to do to modify the approach a little bit. But at the same time, like, these were, these 2 students are such good role models, and they could really, really help out. They could help out these 091 students by just being in the class, and these students can learn from these peers. And then I created like information sessions and invited faculty and students to attend those information sessions. Well, it pretty much fell flat. Like, nothing seemed to happen, and no matter what I did, and poor Henry, like, I bothered him like so much about SI. I'm just like, can we just, can you help me? One day, a faculty member came downstairs, Lynn Kramer Syracusa, and she was like kind of like my angel. She came downstairs and she's like, what is this SI thing? She's like, can you explain it to me? She's like, I want to try it in my 091 courses in the fall. And I was just over the moon. And, we spent a lot of time together at the end of the spring semester in 2014 discussing SI and how we can implement it in her course this past fall. And we developed, again, we kind of revised the manual that I had created so that she could get her input in. Because what I realized, too, is that, we have to work as a group and as a team. So the manual and any kind of materials that will be produced to kind of educate students and faculty about SI has to come not just from me, but it has to come from the faculty members and even the SI leaders as well. So everyone was involved in developing this. So it became kind of like a small community. Henry and my dean, Dr. Maureen Russell, everyone was involved in kind of developing the materials and kind of building up this kind of community to start this pilot in the fall. So with the pilot, we developed a mission statement that was going to be specific to the 091 student and their needs, and we developed objectives that we all agreed, would need to be met. And it really turned out to be a wonderful experience, because it developed a sense of community, not just for the students, but it developed a sense of community between the Writing Center, the faculty, and our administration as well. And that was really a big deal. And then just to give you a sense of some of the preliminary results from the pilot, which were recently provided to me by Professor Kramer-Saracusa, she informed me that at the end of the pilot, that 5 students successfully demonstrated the ability to read, write, and think at the college level and have earned a waiver of English 095. In addition, 4 students demonstrated the ability to read, write, and think at the college level with additional support, therefore earning a waiver of English 095 with placement into English 151 with supplemental instruction. And considering the previous year in 2013, only 4 students earned a waiver of English 095. So that to me is significant, the difference that we made through this pilot, that we were really able to get these students ready and prepared by having my Writing Center peer tutors transform into SI leaders, having them in the classroom, offering SI sessions after class, and having these students engaged and involved. And just this, having the peers in the classroom alone was very significant, because they became like a family. There was a deep sense of community that was fostered through this pilot. And one of the things that, Professor Saracusa, let me know is that students have developed a more clear understanding of the elements of writing, meaning outlining, thesis sentences, topic sentences, sentence structure, and it goes on. And it's just, that to me is significant, because these students who are in 091 come in to the college, unprepared. And the fact, just this one semester to achieve so much is such a big deal, and I'm so proud of all the work that we did together, and I can't wait to see it now expand into English 151.
Okay. Thank you, Veronica. Any questions? Yes, please.
The question was, she asked if the SI leaders were paid. Yes, they were paid. We definitely want to, probably start thinking about, in terms of payment, or compensation for the students, maybe using more OCC student workers. The Kane at Ocean peer tutors are paid at $12 an hour, so they did get compensation and the experience of being an SI leader.
We have a question over here.
For some of the preparatory programs, you did a good job of explaining, what some of the technical tools were. But what I was not clear on is, what was the additional support? What these are students that have had K through 12. I'm sure they have had opportunities before, but what was the additional support? What was the difference in what you did that where the previous interventions had not worked?
I think in terms of supplemental instruction, in the 091 classrooms and 095 and in any classroom, that you don't have someone coming in who is considered a successful student. So you have now someone, a student who could be a mentor to other students in the classroom. They're doing the coursework as well. So, and they prepare their sessions based on the content in the particular course. They meet with the instructor, they meet with me to kind of develop their SI sessions. So I think, that additional support is pretty significant. And it is different, because in most courses you don't have the opportunity to have a peer or someone, actively involved in class supporting your learning experience.
And for the additional interventions as well?
The things that we noticed was, I think the first thing was the contact. We didn't only contact the student, but we also contact the parent with the high school students. So the parents knew us on a first name basis. They could call us anytime if they had a question about the program. I think the other thing was too, is we gave them a college and high school experience all around. We went to their high school every day when someone was at their high school, a representative from OCC was at their high school every evening when the students showed up for the program, the on-site literacy development program. And when they came to Ocean County College, I was a professor. I had another professor involved. I also took all 28 students and gave them an English seminar. So they knew who we were. They knew, they felt like they were a part and they were cared for, rather than just thrown into a program and say, good luck, we'll see you at the end, and we hope we have good results. So really creating the relationships with the students and having them understand that we really care. Because like I said, these were students who were at risk. They weren't the cream of the crop student. They were the students who were at risk. So, some of them were apologizing to us all the time for things that had nothing to do with them. There was no reason for them to apologize. They hit a wrong button. Oh, I'm sorry. And so we really kind of making them feel at ease and being a part, like Veronica said, of a community.
Because you led to my next question: is what was what did you find the motivation level of the student? Were you dragging them to motivation, or was it intrinsic?
No, they were actually it was intrinsic, and what we also found I heard from the academic coaches is once the students after school on site would get better, as new students came in, they would take the reign and bring that student and say, hey, this is how you do it. This is how you sign on. This is how you get into acuplacer. You need to do this, you need to do that. So the coach that we had there could kind of step back. And I think the other key component was that we called them coaches and not teachers. We had an academic coach, and prior to the program, I did PD. Professional development with the coaches to just tell them that we want you to work with the whole student, not just academically. We want you to know the student's name. We want you to know who they are. Ask them, are they okay? And what we found was, we just had a meeting last Friday, a statewide meeting, and I invited some of the coaches to the meeting. And what I found is now some of the students are in their classes, and the academic coach that worked with us knows that student. So they know, hey, I remember you from this summer or last spring. Remember what Dr. Jackson says, you need to write it down, you need to do this. So they're still using us as a reference point to motivate these students.
Thanks. So Veronica, a quick question for you. Given the name of this conference is Are You Online, do you think supplemental instruction can be taken online?
I do, and I think it could be very exciting if we can get to a point to offer it online. I know there are some institutions considering implementing supplemental instruction online, specifically the University of Wyoming. They've already implemented SI online, and it's in real time. And I think that it's something that can benefit the students who cannot attend SI sessions and maybe don't have access to, or the ability, to come to campus to attend SI sessions. And if we can offer it online, they'll be able to access the sessions from home. And I think it's something that, if we could move this into the DL side, the distance learning side, it could benefit these students as well.
Thanks. And as a follow-up to that, for Dr. Kerrigan, are there any trade-offs or balance issues that we should consider with either supplemental instruction or remedial education in the online world?
I actually think the point that Veronica just made is a really important one. One of the challenges that we have in any of these efforts to assist students to successfully move into college and then, importantly, move through college and finish college is the issue of scalability. A lot of us are working with programs that are fantastic, they're innovative, but they are resource intense. And they may work for 20 students, but the ability for them to work for thousands of students is our challenge right now. And so I think one opportunity that aspects of online instruction provides is the potential for scalability and to reach out to populations that aren't currently being reached. The other aspect I think that's important to remember is this point about moving not just from access but to success. For those of you who are in the community college world, you'll know that over the past 10 years we've gone through a significant transformation where we've gone from really worrying about how do we open our doors to our communities and our students, to how do we not just open our doors, but how do we ensure that we are ensuring students get to that completion point, whether it's a certificate, whether it's a degree. How do we make sure that the students that come into through our doors actually then leave with what they wanted to leave with? And so that issue of resources becomes so critical because what the research has shown thus far and what I found this summer in the evaluation is that these programs like the College Readiness Now program, they are effective at increasing opportunity. They are effective at getting students in the door. The next challenge, however, is moving them through. And so far, the research has shown that, in fact, these efforts that get students in the door aren't necessarily helping them finish in the long run. And so programs like supplemental instruction that can be used throughout a student's college career are opportunities for us to make sure that we're focusing not just on access, but successful completion.
Thanks.
And just to follow up, Jeff, and at OCC, I think we recognized that, and I was, until last week, I was the acting dean of the School of Language and the Arts, and now I'm the director of academic success, because that's what it is. We want to make sure once we get them here, we want to keep them here. And that'll be part of my job, to make sure they're doing well, make sure they have the services that they need. And then the state got a grant for $500,000 to start the Center for Student Success as a resource for the community colleges. So we're moving in that direction.
Thank you. Well, we are about at the end of our session, so I would like to take this opportunity to thank our panelists. Well done. And I would invite anyone to stick around and talk to us after. Thank you very much for attending.